Welcome to Berlin, and thank you for taking the time to discuss with us. We wanted to understand why you became entrepreneurs. And so, Helle, why did you start your own business?
I was going to end my contract anyway, and when I wanted to do something new, there was a problem that needed a solution. We looked for a solution and we couldn't find it, me and my co-founders, and then we decided that we have to do it ourselves.
It's interesting because you couldn't find what you were searching in your company. I couldn't find the solution to my trouble that I decided to create it.
Yeah, I think that's quite common, that you see that somebody needs to do it, why not me?
Yeah, that's it.
For me, it was kind of funny. It was a discussion that I had with a friend who was an engineer. I was in finance at that time, had the financial crisis, and we had the discussion about him actually creating something tangible, and I just create thin air and sell hopes and dreams. And it was a funny discussion at first, but it got me thinking. And then other friends told me that his dad builds roads in Nepal. And I always kind of thought that's a romantic idea, to stand on top of a hill in Nepal and tell your son, look at my child, this is what I have created. So from that kind of angle, I figured that one day I'd like to have a story to tell my kids what I actually did with my life, instead of telling them that I've been sitting at a desk crunching numbers all day, that I was able to have an impact on the world at some point.
So why did you decide to leave your corporate job?
I didn't want to spend my life sitting behind a desk, basically. I feel like life happens outside the office.
Yeah, for me it was when I was working at a larger corporation, and I realized that getting things done just takes forever, right? And then since I'm a pretty impatient guy, then the question comes natural, okay, how can we do things faster? And it's when you do it on your own, you can basically do it at your own pace. And that's why I became an entrepreneur.
Problem is that in most corporation people don't like change, so nothing actually moves.
Yeah, actually, I think it's established companies are very good to learn and to make your own experience, but they use their energy to their own functionment, and so that's why they need to the real disruption need to grow up outside this kind of companies.
I have nothing bad to say about the big companies I worked for, and I've also been going back and forth. Big, small company, big company. I'm happy in both, good and bad things about both.
When we are talking about living a secure world, where do you think that are the risks for you in this moment?
Well, I think the biggest risk we have is that we don't do what we love, right? Like, we have a short life, and there's a lot of people that work in like larger corporations. They always say, oh, I wish I could do that, right? I would love to do that, but why don't you just do it, right? So the biggest risk we run is not to do what we love, right?
It depends on your familial situation very much as well. So for me, I have a girlfriend, no kids. The biggest risk was I completely fail and have to go and live with my mom for a month or two until I get my own job again. So that is a huge risk, but realistically speaking, that's very, very manageable. So I think for me personally, the risk was practically zero.
Of course, if material things are important to you, if your lifestyle, your car and your house is important to you, then it would be risky, because you probably couldn't afford it anymore. But again, upside is hopefully big, but let's face it, most companies do fail, so the risk is definitely there. But risk is not bad necessarily, you know. Risk pushes us, risk challenges us to really try to be fast and agile and innovative. So I think it's very closely linked.
Helle, what does failure mean to you, and how do you approach it?
Failing because I didn't understand something, that would be a bad thing. Failing because the market changed or something like that, that wouldn't really worry me that much.
I failed a lot at the beginning, and we had some pivots and tried different things, and at least right now, up to now, it's a success. If you stop, you fail. But if you start again to try again, then you don't fail, you just learn.
We live in a society where failure is not really accepted. I don't like to fail. That it's like a psychological problem, and no one can secure that, and everyone and everywhere in the world has the same problem. I think the flexibility, or like how fast you can react to failure, and also know when you're failing, that's extremely important. I think there is failure, but it doesn't really matter so much as long as you stay focused and you try to fix the problem.
But of course it's not easy to admit that you have failed. Nobody likes to fail.
The mindset has to be there to know that you're gonna fail and accept that. So something that is very Swiss is to prepare everything to the very last dot, and only when you have every scenario mapped out, then you start. And if you're gonna wait for the perfect moment, it's not gonna come.
So what are the key elements of growing your business at this stage, Alex?
I think there's three things that are really important. One, the first most important is your team. You need good people to drive your business. The second one is perseverance, that you keep on doing what you're doing, because starting a company is a tough thing, right? And you get setbacks. And the third one is obviously money, is financing, right? You need good investors that understand your story, that understand your team, and that are willing to go with you for the long ride in order to be able to finance your business.
I think we are now in a stage where we have the product, we have the people, like the team together. And now what's most important is really communication, marketing, sales. Your idea can be great, but if you can't sell it, if there's no concept behind it, or you have maybe a concept but you can't communicate it, it's going to fail.
Technology and protection of this technology is really, really important for us too, because it protects us against our competitors. And then last is the customers. Customers is really, really important, because they manage to, they will refine your proposition of value and your products, so it's really, really important.
And having early customer interaction, as early as possible, so you get that correction early on. I do find that many startups, especially technology-based startups, they develop too much before they start talking to customers. That's something that we should take care of.
So we're very, very curious to hear what kind of environment should a corporate offer you to consider to come back? Helle.
Well, right now it's not really an option. I'm happy where I am, but if there was a corporation that would offer a very flexible job in a good creative environment with a good team, international focus, I would consider it.
Somewhere where failure is encouraged, maybe, or failure is redefined or seen as part of a growing process.
I don't think they want me back, right? So yeah, at this point, I can't see myself going back.
I can see an option. If he could buy my business and give me his chair, I would come back.
Thank you.